Previously, I had made a review of the game Life is Strange Before the Storm, and there were a few things I had left out because I wanted to make it as spoiler-free as possible, which is why I decided to make this video so that I can freely talk about the spoilery things that bothered me. So, let's go. Let's start with one thing that I didn't talk about in the last video, Elliot. Elliot exists to be a douchebag counterpart to Warren from the first game, and that's it. Warren's existence had significant plot purposes in the game. He showed Max how to make a bomb and he saved her ass from Nathan twice. If you removed Elliot from Before the Storm, there would be almost no difference in plot besides a few scenes that might as well just be padding. If he had any kind of impact or gave Chloe any kind of character development, I could justify his presence in the game, but he doesn't. So he might as well not even exist. And then there's Sarah. Sarah is Rachel's biological mother, and much of the third episode is about trying to get Rachel to meet with her. And getting that to actually happen is a pain in the ass unless you have a guide. Now, here's the issue. If Sarah meets with Rachel, we get a nice scene of them together, and I doubt it if they didn't exchange contact information after that and stay in touch once in a while. So if we're to assume this quote-unquote good ending is a legitimate choice for the Life is Strange canon, why isn't Sarah present at all in the first game? I'd imagine that at least Chloe would tell her about her daughter going missing and asks if she's seen her. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if she got dragged into the spotlight by Rachel's father, since I could see him accusing her of kidnapping Rachel given what we know about James and Sarah's previous relationship. That means one of two things. Either Sarah stopped contacting Rachel, which would be very out of character and completely out of the blue, or the good ending is non-canon. In which case, why even have this choice? Just for good feels? I guess good feels are nice and all, but if you're going to emphasize how choices matter, even if it's a prequel, then I think any choices you make in the game should be treated as possible canon. Another issue regarding choices is with Nathan. Nathan's still a prick, but he's not nearly as insufferable as he was in the first game since Jefferson isn't around to corrupt him yet. That and seeing what a shitty person his father is makes him a lot more sympathetic. And if you play your cards right, he can make friends with a nice girl named Samantha, and by the time Max comes to Black, well, she's gone. Where'd she go? What happened to her and Nathan's relationship? Hell if I know, and the game sure ain't gonna tell us. It's another issue of having a good ending for good feels, but it doesn't really make much sense in hindsight when it comes to the events of the first game. Like I said before, maybe it's my own fault for going for the good ending because being good feels good, but at the very least I think there should be some kind of explanation as to why these characters aren't in the first game. I just don't think any of these new characters were fully thought through when it comes to the big picture. There's also a complaint I had that carries over from the first game. I think that Rachel turning out to be dead left them with some missed opportunities for some really interesting plot points. It's no secret that Rachel was loved by her fellow students and authority figures. Perhaps it could have been because she had time travel powers like Max and could rewind time so that she could always say and do the right thing, much like how Max does. Then, maybe Rachel's disappearance could be because she messed with too many versions of herself across multiple different universes. But alas, we get the much less exciting route of Rachel turning up dead. Granted, it's not too surprising that happened, but still a missed opportunity for something a lot more interesting. Then in Before the Storm, it's sorta kinda hinted at that Rachel may indeed have some kind of supernatural powers. Which goes absolutely nowhere. Them's the breaks, I suppose. Speaking of which, instead of an impending tornado like in the first game, we have a big forest fire that was caused by Rachel. It's presented to be dangerous to the citizens of Arcadia Bay, but unlike the tornado, the fire doesn't lead to any big climax. It just goes out after Rachel gets stabbed. I know that they couldn't have Arcadia Bay burning to the ground for obvious reasons, but with the fire being such a significant event at first, the way it ends is kind of anticlimactic. It's not a huge complaint, but still something that irked me. And that's it. I know this was really short, but there were still things I want to talk about in a separate video so I didn't have to worry about spoiling things. Hopefully you enjoyed it nonetheless.